Hi, this is Gina. Welcome back to Tight Ship Mama. Brene Brown is one of the best TED Talks that you can listen to. She speaks on being vulnerable and courage and standing alone and really just putting yourself out there. She has a quote where she says, "You have to walk through vulnerability to get to courage." And I would take it a step further and say, you have to walk through vulnerability to get to anything worth having. For those of you that don't know me in real life, we lost a child to leukemia. And one of the things we are doing, we are 10 years out from that loss. One of the things my husband and I are doing is we are helping to raise money for a local children's hospital because my son was not able to be treated locally. And how we're doing that is we give talks and we share our story of our son and how we had to leave this area to get care and why we feel it's so important to build a local hospital here. So we give these talks. And after the first one we did, I was sick for about 3 months. And every time I thought about that talk, I would get nauseous. And I just thought, what is wrong with me? All I did was tell a story and I feel nauseous. Then I heard another quote from Brene Brown where she coined the phrase vulnerability hangover. And I thought, that's what I have. I am suffering from a vulnerability hangover. And maybe you're not giving speeches to big crowds or groups of people asking for money, but I can pretty much guarantee that you have had this feeling at some point in time. Because if you're in any kind of relationship, you've put yourself out there and you've been vulnerable. And sometimes it's people that are really close to us and you're vulnerable and, you might have a girl in your circle of friends and you have a heart-to-heart one time and you think, okay, we've just taken this friendship to a whole nother level and this is going to go deep and this could really be somebody that I could get close to. But then the next time you see them, it's really awkward or they don't even bring it up and you're like, I thought that we had this thing, And it just kind of fizzles or it's never brought up again or you just kind of go back to the surface conversations. One or both of you is probably suffering from a vulnerability hangover. And I have to push through this if I'm going to raise this money. So I started thinking, when have I had this? When have I put myself out there? And did it pay off? So I went back again, 10 years. When we got home from the hospital where my son was treated and came back to try to go on with life, I used my faith to really get through that period of his illness. So when I came home, I thought, I really want to dive deeper into my faith. So I sent an email out to about 10 women that I knew, and I just said, you're getting this email because either I know you're Catholic or I'm pretty sure you're Catholic, but I wanted to dive deeper into Catholicism specifically. So I really put myself out there and I said, if you want to grow deeper in your faith along with me, I would like to start a prayer group. And 9 women got back to me and said, yes. And 1 got back and said, it's not my thing. And I thought, okay, even if 1 got back to me and said, it is my thing, and 9 came back and said, no, that's fine because I'd rather have 1 person that really wants to be there than not. So I put myself out there. And that prayer group, we met roughly every month for about 3 years. And some of my best conversations and deepest relationships have come from that prayer group. But within that prayer group, we had one night where a topic came up about friendship. And I just casually mentioned that I didn't have a best friend. And I had, of course, my best friend from college. I've got good friends from grade school and childhood and that kind of thing. But in this city where I live now, I'm not from here. And I really didn't have a best friend, like someone that would care that I was in the hospital or care that something was wrong with my kids. And so I just kind of mentioned this. And the next day I got an email And it simply said, I'll be your best friend. And I was like, okay. And my friend really was vulnerable because I could have written back, LOL, Cole, just kidding, I have a best friend, I don't need one. But I was feeling vulnerable, and obviously she put herself out there too. And I didn't even write back. So she probably felt even worse. But she lived in my city, and at the time I had 2 kids, and she has 5 kids. So she's really busy. But I would walk past her house, and we used to laugh that her house was the fishbowl because it had these huge windows out front that you could see everything that they were doing. So if they're watching TV, if they're eating dinner, you could see like, oh, there they are. So we just kind of had this silent agreement that I would walk my dog past her house, and if she could talk, she would come out, and if she couldn't, she would just wave, and I would keep on walking, and I would know, like, okay, she just can't talk, it's no big deal. And I don't even know how many years ago this was. I didn't think about that before I started filming this, but fast forward, and she is truly my best friend. She challenges me, she pushes me, she doesn't take my crap, and she and her husband are the godparents of our littlest girl. And it is so awesome. So what I'm challenging you to do is to be vulnerable. And I would take Brene Brown's quote a step further and just say, anything worth having is worth walking through vulnerability, because you never know, your best friend could be on the other side. Have a great week. Be vulnerable, be courageous, and I'll see you next Monday.